Well, hello. It is Talk Therapy. Um, and welcome tonight. Tonight. It's Tuesday, and I am your host, Tara T. Stallings, author, life coach. Um, and Melody, we waiting on you.
Oh, I thought you was getting ready to add some more to your credentials. I'm
Mm-mm, I'm
sorry.
done.
I'm sorry. I'm waiting on
That's
you
enough.
to
That's
finish
enough.
with your credentials. I'm
I
Melody
this
Manning.
this look. That's enough.
That's enough. Okay, I'm Melody Manning, certified life coach specializing in mental health, transformation, and spiritual coaching. How y'all doing this evening? How y'all doing this evening? I feel like I'm a
All
little
right, let's get right into.
hot.
You look beautiful. You look beautiful. So before we get started, thank you guys for joining us. Make sure that you like and share and like. We're going to continue our conversation. Our hot topic from last week. Oh, wait a minute. I had the wrong. I got the wrong thing up. I don't know how I did that.
I see that now.
Okay, there. That's the topic. That's the topic. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. That's not what we're talking about tonight. No, that's not what we're talking about. So make sure you guys, I love live because you can just be transparent. So tonight, make sure you like and share and like. This is going to be a continuation of what we talked about last night. Does last week? Does my I am strong. Oh, I think it kind of went out for a second. I hope we don't have any technical
Yeah,
difficulties
you froze up for.
tonight. So yeah, it kind of went out. So go ahead and look, make a watch party, share it, and we're gonna get right into it. Melody, I'm gonna let you take the wheel.
Okay. I'm having difficulty tonight. They gonna put me out.
Look.
They gonna put me out after a while. That's what they gonna do. Yeah, I'm gonna get put out after a while.
Okay.
Okay. We're talking about, does my silence mean that I am strong? Last week we talked about how people can have the understanding, or they think that a person is actually strong and able to handle different things. In all actuality, they are not strong, and we have different ways that we gauge a strong person, and we put those titles on people, whereas instead of actually stop expecting them to be strong. Because sometimes when we say, oh, they're a strong person, they can handle it, we automatically expect them to be a strong person when they're not necessarily, what we consider a strong person. Or is it fair for us to put things on people with the expectation of them being strong? So we're going to talk about that briefly tonight, how we do that. How do we handle instances when people think, oh, she's strong, she'll be okay. But at some point, the strong person has to actually say no. And it's okay to say no to stuff and not expect people and allow people to think that you're strong or give you that title and you have to carry that weight. Because once we're given that title, we think that we have to function in that realm. That, oh, I'm the strong person, so I have to be this way because I am considered to be the strong person. That's putting more on yourself than you actually have to be. It's okay to say no. It's okay to say, hey, I feel this way. I'm not able to do this. Hey, I'm not having a good day. Today is a bad day. It's okay to do that and not have to live up to expectations of others.
I totally agree. So often, we have a big mama or someone in the family that's the what is usually called the rock of the family, that strong person. And so often the assumption is because you're strong, you don't have any emotions. You know, you can handle sorry, I think it went out a second, that you can handle situations better or differently than other people. And I think that's just a misconception that's been uh, uh, um, propagated in especially in the Black community for years. You know, we need to understand that strong doesn't mean that a person can just handle everything. It doesn't mean that that they're insensitive. It doesn't mean that they don't cry. It means that they have learned to sometimes put a wall up to shield the darts from the rocks that have been thrown at them because people think they're strong. And then on the other side, it could be how they internally how they internally handle situations that are given to them, because when you project something on a person like being strong, what does that really mean? Does that mean because they're strong they don't ever break? Because strong things can break. They can break. So we really need to identify or um reevaluate what it means when we say that, oh, that's a strong woman or that's a strong this. Because does strong mean you got to go around and be a bully? you know does that mean that? Does strong mean that you have to take on everybody's problems? Does strong mean that? Or does strong mean you have balance? And I would say that when I envision a strong woman, I envision a whole woman, a person that's balanced, that has doesn't say that everything in their life is on an equal plane, but they have a balance in their life. They know how to tell people no. Like Melody said, it's okay to say no. It's okay to say no. I'm not feeling good today. I don't want to do that. I'm not participating. It's okay, and not feel as if you're letting someone down. I think you're muted, Melody. You're muted.
I think we get caught up in that so easily because when things happen, and a lot of times we see it displayed when someone passes.
Mm-hmm.
We're quick to say, "Oh, they're so strong," they're handling it well. We kind of touched on this last week. You just may not be seeing it, but that doesn't mean that they don't have those moments where they're at a point of weakness or a point of breaking. They've just managed to cover it from everyone. So it doesn't mean that they have those times. So we tend to not focus on the person that we consider to be the strong person, and we need to change that. We need to check on it and be concerned about everyone. I think one of the things too you kind of touched on last week, especially during these times, especially during with everything that's going on with COVID, with the passing of loved ones and everything during this time, since it's happening so frequently. Loved ones,
Mm-hmm.
friends, death coming unexpectedly, and at a higher rate. We need to get to a point where we're checking on all persons, not
Mm-hmm.
not just the people that we consider, to be the ones worthy of checking on. Even check on those strong people. And then the strong person also needs to realize certain things you can't keep bottled up forever. You
Mm-hmm.
can't you can't hold all of that in, because then when you do have a release, it may not be a good release. So we do
Mm-hmm.
have to be getting a practice of releasing some stuff. And we've got to find a healthy way
Mm-hmm.
to release it, because if you do not at some point release stuff, it's going to release at some point, some kind of way. It's going to come out. And hopefully
Yeah,
it's not
definitely.
unhealthy. You know, and we do see that the suicide rate is very high now. You know, they're not talking about it on the news. You're not reading about it a lot. But domestic violence and the suicide rate is very high. And with that suicide rate, we can put on a mask and people may not ever know what's going on with our inner workings. So when situations like that come about, the first thing a lot of people say, well, I never expected that from them. I never knew that they would, you know, be capable of doing something like this. We just don't know what people have bottled up inside of them that they're not releasing.
Yes, so many people deal with so many different things, and so many people, because people have put that assumption on them that they are strong, they have taken on that title, and they themselves don't know how to handle that title. They don't know that, okay, it's okay for me to cry. It's okay for me to ask for help. It's okay for me not to be okay, because they have that title of a strong person has been projected on them. And so often, because no one wants to be labeled as weak, because if someone calls you strong, the opposite of that is, if I'm not strong, then I'm weak. And nobody wants to be labeled as weak. So even if you are, feeling like, well, I'm not strong. You think I'm strong, but I'm not strong. Nobody's gonna say, well, I'm not strong, because nobody wants to be labeled as weak. So it causes a whole nother dynamic of problems, of issues within that person, because now they have nobody. They have no one that who they can go and seek uh, um, uh, uh, a ear for a sounding board. They have no one that they can talk to say, hey, today I'm not okay, and not be judged.
Yep.
Let me say that, because and not be judged, because if everyone has that assumption that, hey, you're the strong person, and today you're having not a weak moment but a human moment, you don't want to be feel like you're being judged because you're having a human moment. So they internalize, a lot of times they internalize it, um, or they find other ways to cope with those emotions. Be it, our show is talk therapy. They go shopping therapy. They go drinking. They use drugs. It's sex. It's so many different things that they can do. Gambling. All of those things are outlets for people that are dealing with something that don't feel like people understand, or don't feel comfortable with reaching out to professional help, because of the stigma, and because of the assumption that, well, I'm a strong person. If I go ask someone for help, then that means I'm not strong. And that's just not the truth of the matter. That's just not the truth. That's just a lie.
Yeah. And but we kind of talked about this on last night on Meet the Coaches.
Mm-hmm.
We've got to take the stigmatism out of a lot of things in the African American community, um, as to asking for assistance. We've
Mm-hmm.
got to get to a point where we take the stigmatism out of a lot of it, that it's okay to seek that help or whatnot. To ask somebody, hey, can you, point me in a direction where I need to go. It's okay to ask for help. you know, and sometimes some things don't warrant help, but then it's okay to take care of yourself as well. Some things may not have gotten to a, it may have not gotten to a point where you need that additional help, but you know you've got that title. It's okay to say no. We've got to be get to a point where we're comfortable with saying no, that
Mm-hmm.
hey, this is not good for me. I'm not able to do this, because you know what I've seen with a lot of strong people is they extend themselves more than they should be extending themselves, because they don't want to let anybody down.
Mm-hmm.
Usually your strong people are really nurturers, you know. They're concerned about another's well-being before they're concerned about their own. And that can play, you know, be a dangerous thing. You've got to be okay with taking care of yourself at some point. It's not selfish to take care of yourself. It's loving yourself sometimes, to just say, hey, no, I can't help you in that capacity, but I can help you in this capacity. Or just simply say, no,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not able to assist you at all. And that can mean also sometimes you might have to turn a conversation off, you know, because it conversations from somebody else can be just a little bit much for you at times, that you're so consumed by that conversation after you have that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, and there's a loving way to say, you know, hey, I just can't do this right now. And it's okay to say that, because
Mm-hmm.
if the other person does not understand that, that's on them. That's not on you.
Yeah.
Or
Definitely.
over, yeah, you know, overextend yourself, accepting invitations, be in places that you know you shouldn't be. And when I say shouldn't be, you somewhere and you're not really there. Your body is there, but your mind and heart are not there. You're just there because you didn't want to tell somebody no.
Yeah.
So really you're not there in all aspects of it. And most of the time people can pick up on that, believe it or not. They just may not address it, but they
Mm-hmm.
can pick up on it. So
Yeah.
we've got to get to a point where we're strong enough to determine what's good for us.
Yes. I truly believe I totally agree with you. And just redefining what society has labeled as strong, you know, as being strong. Just redefining it and seeking self-help um and taking care of ourselves as an individual, because society can place so many labels on people that are just um outlandish. They are outlandish. They are outlandish, and so many people, once society placed the labels on them, they take them on as their reality.
Mm,
And once they take it on as their reality, then they feel as though I have to live up to this standard that everyone believes about me, while everyone else believes it. The person that the standard has been placed on, they don't even believe it about themselves. They just learn how to pretend very well.
mm,
They learn how to pretend very well.
wow.
So, um, and they're put into a position where, okay, well, I'm supposed to function. I'm supposed to, I'm supposed to perform. So they have to muscle up whatever to perform. And it's just not fair that people place these assumptions on people and place these labels on them and expect for them to live up to them. And then you have again a person that has been labeled strong, but internally they don't feel strong.
They're dying.
Internally, they're dying. internally they're dying, and they have no one. They feel as though they have no one I can seek help from,
Mm,
because again, if I go seek help, then what is that saying? Everybody thinks I'm strong, and if I go get some help, because I'm not as strong as everyone has thinks of what they placed on me. Now I just have to really sit in silence and suffer, because you're dying on the inside. You need help, but you're afraid to go get help because of how you believe everyone is going to see you or
mm,
prejudge you. And that's just not fair. And we as a society, especially in this day and time, like you said, Melody, so many emotions, so many things happening with COVID and the suicide rate, divorce rate, domestic violence. We really need to reevaluate the labels that people either placed on others, or sometimes people place those values, those labels on themselves, because they think, oh, and let me say this, especially it can be detrimental in the female black community, because females want to be that strong woman. They want to be, oh, I'm a strong educated woman. What does that mean? What does that mean that you're a strong educated woman? What exactly does that mean? And does that mean you have to have a certain persona about yourself? And as I was thinking about that, I was thinking about Dynasty. Do you remember Dynasty, when we had Alexis and I cannot think of Diane Carroll's name in that show, but we had Alexis and Diane Carroll, and that was in the 80s. Um, and the strong woman was labeled as, because they were powerful, they had money, but they were labeled as a B. You got to be a B. You got to be ruthless to be a strong woman. You got to
mm,
be cutthroat and nasty to be a strong woman. And that's just not who a woman is. That's not a strong woman. That's a arrogant woman. You know, that's a false persona of really what womanhood is. And I think we have kind of transform some of that stuff from television and society into reality.
mhm. We have, we have, and you're so very correct, because when a lot of people say strong woman, if she's educated, seems to be well put together or whatnot, she automatically has that title, strong woman.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe they feel that way because they, for a woman, especially, in certain circumstances, be it you're single, a single mother, you're where you're from or whatnot, and you've made it to a certain point. You were able to complete school, you were able to get a good job, you have a nice home. A lot of people figure you gotta be strong to do that. So we do automatically give them that title. And so many of us Black women were given that title, and we're quick to put on that cape and that big S on our chest. We want to be that superwoman to our children. We want to be that to our husbands. We want to be that to our families or whatnot. And so many times. So we too, have to we need to redefine what strength is, or let strength stand in its proper place as to what strength is,
Wow. Yeah.
and
I,
take that label off of people.
wow. So
Just,
I think you need to repeat that one. Yeah, that needs to be repeated.
yeah, when the part where I said we need to redefine it and let
Mm-hmm.
strength stand as what strength is.
Yeah.
And, we need to come up with a whole new terminology for certain people, because with that strength, that just may be a person of great faith.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily that superwoman, not necessarily that strong, a person of great faith, a person who may have overcome different obstacles. We need to take titles off of it, because when you put that strength in there and strong, we take that word strong, and as I said last week, to build strength, to become strong, you've got many, many obstacles in it.
Mm-hmm.
And even things with strength can break.
Yes. I'm just reminded, throughout the years, I've, worked with various different types of women. And I just reminded of a conversation I had with one of those women. And they were sharing, some things that happened with them. And they felt as though they were weak. Well, I was weak at that time. And I said, well, what made you feel like you were weak? Because she was in a domestic violent situation, and she had no means of leaving. She while she was in it, she had no way to get out. Basically, she didn't know. I can't leave. I have kids. I can't support myself. Whatever. And I said, well, she was like, well, and I allowed him to abuse me physically, emotionally, verbally, and whatever. She said, I was just a weak woman at that time. I said, I don't think you were weak. I said, I think you were stronger than you think, because you learned how to maneuver that situation until you created a plan to get out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I said, a weak person would have succumbed to that situation. They wouldn't have planned a way out of that situation.
True.
They would have succumbed to that. I said, weak, a lot of times people that are weak, they they succumb to it, meaning, they find the easy way out.
Mm-hmm.
They find the easy way out of the situation.
Or
So,
they give up. They
or,
just
or
give up.
or they just give up. And I said, you created a plan. You did what you thought was best during that time for you and your children until you could get yourself out of that situation. I said, to me, that was very strong. That wasn't a weak woman. I said, because it took strength. It took time. It took planning to be able to plan out how you were going to save money, what you were going to do to get away from this situation, because you knew if you would have just left with no provision that you would have been out in the cold, basically. But you created a plan and you executed that plan. I said, that's strength. To me, that's strength. That's showing how strong you are. I said, because society has a lot of times labeled women that are victims of domestic violence as weak women. I said, that is not true. I said, you have CEOs that run companies that when they get home, they are being, they are victims of the domestic violence. I said, so that has nothing to do with, you know, if you're strong or not, because you have people that they can go to work and they can be great in other situations, but at home in their relationships, they are emotionally abused, violated, verbally violated, physically violated, or all three,
Mentally.
financially violated,
And
you know,
mentally violated.
mentally, yes. So I said, so you can't just look at, oh, because this happened that you're weak. I said, no, because it doesn't mean that you're weak, because you have people that are imbalanced in different areas of their lives. So, and they don't realize, hey, I got to get some balance. And it doesn't mean that they're weak. It just means that, hey, I need to come up in this area, or I need to redirect this area, Or like the young lady, I need to work out a plan until I can get out of this situation.
One minute, Tara, you caught me.
Okay. Oh goodness.
I'm sorry, Tara, you caught me off guard.
I'm sorry. I
This is live,
apologize.
y'all. But you're talking about all the different instances. Now, like you said, the CEO, and she's going home and she's becoming at home, she's a victim. But in the workplace and probably in other atmospheres, or I mean environments, we would consider her to be the strong woman.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I say we need to redefine, come up with a different terminology as to what we consider strong. Because not saying that when she's at home and she's that victim of the domestic violence, be it mentally, financially, verbal, or physical, that she's weak at that moment. We don't know what the workings of her mind is. She may be strategizing that exit plan, or she may have dealt with some previous traumas in her life that has her in a situation where she's comfortable. And even though she may have all of this book education, you know, certain traumas, you can have all the book sense in the world, but certain things can leave you damaged in other areas, whereas you're comfortable or you may not know any different or you may not expect any different, you know, from a situation. But does that really make you a weak person? So that's why I say one of the reasons why I say we need to redefine it. We need to change our language on a lot of things within our community. Got to change the language because those titles that we're giving to ourselves and to others, they can be the death of us.
Yeah.
Because when you're talking about that strength and that strong sister, that strong mama, that strong wife, there's some stressors that come along with that. And we all know that stress can affect everything about the makeup of your body. It can cause
Mm-hmm.
you to have hypertension. It can cause you to overeat and deal with obesity. It's just different things that the stress can be. So we've got to be careful with that title. And we need to stop putting so much pressure on another person. Because at times we put more pressure on another person than we put on ourselves
Mm-hmm.
with that strength. Because we just expect it of them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And a lot
And
of
so,
it is learned, what we've learned.
mm-hmm.
So we got to
Yes.
unlearn some stuff.
Yes, I definitely agree with that because you have so many people that one has been projected on them, and then they have gravitated to, they have succumbed to that label that they operate, they behave from out of that mindset that I'm strong and I have to take care of everything and I got to do everything and I got to be this and I got to be that to everybody. And you cannot, let me say this and I want to say it slow. You cannot be strong for anybody if you are not strong for yourself. If
Mm-hmm.
you cannot have a whole balanced life in yourself, that and whole and balanced does not mean you have everything together. That's not what whole and balanced means. That means you're on a balance in every area. It's balanced out. You don't have one that's up too high, you don't have one that's down too low. You have a balance. You have a balance, and in all those areas it can be an improvement. But when you can realize, hey, I'm living a balanced life, then you can say, hey, I'm a strong person. But when, and then you're able to help someone else. But if your life is out of balance, if your life is out of balance, there is no way you can effectively be what someone else needs for you, because you have to first be that person for yourself. You have to be that person for yourself. And so often we're not that person, or a lot of people proclaim to be that person, but they are living it out of a false reality. It's a false reality of truth. It's a what everybody else says is truth, but it's not their. It's a truth, but it's not the truth. Let me put it that way.
True.
It's a truth, but it's not that, and it's a truth that somebody else gave. It's not the truth that they truly live from their lifestyle, that they live out of their heart, out of their being, out of their principles, out of their standard. It's not that truth. It's what somebody else has said is a truth, is or somebody else's truth. So we really have to be very careful when we talk about and when we look at people that say they are strong, because I said I was for years projected it. Oh, I'm you strong, you got it going on, this and this, and you can handle it. And I wasn't strong. I wasn't strong. I just knew how to mask it very well. I just wasn't strong. I just learned how to mask it. And there's so many people that, hey, they have so many beautiful masks. They know when to put them on and when to take them off. And people think, oh, they have the perfect life. And it's just not always true. It's just not true.
And that's because we just look, we looking at that outer shell. We don't take the time to really get to know people. We just look at the outer shell, that outside. I'm trying to think of the phrase that they used to say, you can't tell a house by just looking at the windows. You don't know what's going on the inside. And that falls into that beautiful mask thing. We can be dressed down, face beat, clothes, on point, press good, crease good, and be a walking mess.
Yes, definitely.
A walking mess. And we're quick to label them because we're looking at that outer. Oh, they're strong.
Mm-hmm.
We
Yes.
we got to get to a point where with our loved ones, with our friendships, develop those healthy relationships. I think sometimes, and my mama used to say this all the time, if you get one or two good friends in your life, you've done very, very well. We have to get to where those relationships that we're calling close friends, that they're good, healthy relationships. Somebody, that we can actually be totally naked with,
Mm-hmm.
where we can say how we're feeling and do it without the judgment.
Mm-hmm.
And they provide that listening ear. Not
Yeah.
the advice all the time, just that listening ear. And to just hear, hey, I got this going on. I'm just not feeling this right now. I'm dealing with this. They just not all, they don't need you to always be the problem solver, but they need you to hear the problem just so that they can process it better. Because sometimes, like I said last week, when you give certain things a voice,
Mm-hmm.
it just makes your shoulders a little more relaxed. it and it changes your breathing,
Mm-hmm.
when you can just give certain things a voice, because we're so quick sometimes we'll say, well, nobody knew I was going through such and such, and didn't nobody, well, you didn't share it with anybody.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yep.
got to have those healthy relationships. Those healthy relationships allow you to be who you are.
Mm-hmm.
They don't put those stipulations on you. They're not judging you. You're
Right.
able to freely open and share with them without the judgment, without the criticisms. And sometimes you don't, like I said, you don't need the advice. You just need to be able to share to get it off of you. Well, not so much get it off of you, just so you can breathe and relax a little bit easier.
Yeah, I think you said just give it a voice. Give it a
Yeah,
voice.
give it a
Because
voice.
sometimes get it out your head and give it a voice. You know,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we can be so analytical, and I don't see anything wrong with being analytical. I hear people say, "Oh, well, I'm an overthinker." Well, I don't think there's nothing wrong with overthinking. It's something wrong with what you overthinking. You know, it's nothing wrong with being an overthinker. It's what you're overthinking. And see, most of the times when people are an overthinker, they're overthinking it in the negative. They're not overthinking it in the positive. They taking it to the negative side, and they're not overthinking it in the positive, because there's nothing wrong with overthinking. I don't see anything wrong. I think that's been overrated. Oh, there, you're analytical. Well, God is over analytical. He's analytical because he said I created the end at the beginning. So he overthought it. He was an overthinker. But he did it in a positive. So it's how we think about things. We have to, so we have to think positive. So it's nothing wrong with that. It's just how you do it. When, as it relates to people being strong, it's okay to, when you have a friend is someone that should be able to take you good, bad, and ugly, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and not be a yes person, but say, well, look at it this way, look at it this way, look at it this way. And I just had that, and I'm just reminded, I just had that happen to me last week. And one of my good friends, I consider her as a good friend, and I listened to what she said to me. She was saying, Tara, I was talking to someone and she felt like I was being too harsh with them. She said, I think you were being too harsh with them. And I said, well, give me an example. Because me, you know, I was in my zone, and when I'm in a zone, I'm here. This, and this. That's how I think. And she said, yeah, and you were in a zone, and I think you were just kind of cutthroat. I said, well, give me an example, because that's never my intent to cause any malice. I said, so share with me, and she shared with me. So I said, well, I'm gonna ask the person, and that's just what I did. I said, when I see that person, I'm gonna address them, because if I was cutthroat, because she felt that way, and I said, well, I'm gonna ask that person. I'm gonna ask them about, if I did anything that offended them, if I said it was, did they feel like I was being cutthroat or just cut and dry? And they were like, no, what are you talking about? So sometimes other people can project things on you that are just not, that's not true. It may be their truth, but it may not be a truth. And I used that. I didn't tell her, no, I didn't do that or whatever. I said, okay, well, maybe I did. So I'm going to ask the person. I'm going to address that person. I didn't tell her that. But then in that instance, it was, the other person didn't feel the way that she felt I was acting. So so a lot of times people can hear your tone depending on what's going on with them and project it on you. And then, you're thinking a certain way. Well, what happened? Why am I acting like this? Or what did I do? When really it was nothing. It was just them. So you really, and I said all that to say this, you really have to go back and you have to question and you have to reevaluate, because people can project things on you, even if they know you to be that way. You know what I'm saying? Because what she said to me at one time in my life, I was that way. And I said, well, I didn't so I had to kind of check myself. And then I said, well, show me what I did, tell me. And she said, well, I think you, gave some examples. I said, well, I don't think I did that, but I'm going to address the person just in case. I didn't tell her, oh no, you were wrong, this and this. I didn't say that. I said, well, even if you saw that, maybe I did, and that was my, that was my implication. Maybe I did do that, but I just didn't know it. So I addressed the person that they felt like I had some offended. Like, again, it turned out it wasn't that. So you just have to have people in your life that gonna be honest with you, whether they are right, wrong, or indifferent. You know what I'm saying? You have to have those people in your life and be okay with them either hitting the mark or missing the mark. And don't go back and say, oh, they didn't. No. Because guess what? If they said it, people can see what you can't see.
Mm-hmm.
People can see what you can't see. And I know for myself, my personality, especially if I'm in a zone, I'm I'm task oriented. I am task oriented. I know that about myself, and I have tunnel vision. And sometimes when I have tunnel vision, I'm just thinking, get this task done, get this task done. I'm not looking at anything else. And another part of my character is sometimes I can be brash. I can be a little brash with my tone. I'm already loud, but I can be a little, I can be a little dry, cutthroat. So I have to really catch myself
Yes, yeah.
when that's brought to, yeah, right. So I have to catch myself when that's brought to my attention. I have to, I have to catch myself. So, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with somebody saying, "Hey, you need to check that," because then I'm gonna check it because people can see what I can't see, even if they're right or wrong. I'm still gonna check it because my intent is never to be malice toward a person, to hurt a person, have to have any malice toward them or to offend them. So yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I just, and that's good. And most of the time, a lot of people can't handle those type of friendships. Um, and that's a real adult friendship.
Yeah.
And a lot of people can't, a lot of people can't handle type of those type of relationships or those
Mm-hmm.
type of friendships. They want the person that goes along with everything that they do, be it right, wrong, or whatnot, but the main importance of being in some relationships is being able to express yourself, and call each other out on certain things. And
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't mean that you're mad with that person or not. It's a healthy way to do it. And those are healthy relationships.
Mm-hmm.
We've got to get to that point. And then when we can get to that point, the people that we have labeled strong can be themselves. And then they'll be able to actually display their strength in a better way.
Yes.
Because then they're taking care of themselves at that point. Because, like you
Mm-hmm.
said earlier, you can't be strong for somebody else if you're not strong for yourself. And we hear it all the time. You can't pour from an empty cup.
Right.
So you have to, what you're being to everybody else, you've got to be to yourself
Exactly.
first. That's the first thing you got.
Amen, church. Look, amen, church.
Be it for yourself. Nurture yourself, take care of yourself. That's why I believe self-care is so important. Self-care is not always going to get your nails done, going to get a massage. Sometimes it's sitting in quiet, sitting
Mm-hmm.
still, sometimes giving your mind just an opportunity to rest and not have to think about all of the cares and all of the problems or whatnot, just to give you that brief escape. Your self-care could be watching that funny movie on TV or whatnot. We have to take care of ourselves.
Yes. Yes. Look, yes, yes, and yes. Yes, yes, and yes. Well, Melody, our time is about up. I think this is a really, really good conversation. Guess what? I think this is one that is needed and was needed so that we can get some understanding within what we have going on. We need to get we need to get that understanding. We need to get that understanding, especially strong, because um the misconception of strong, what strong is, I think that's something that has been misconstrued for so many years, especially in with women. And I'm not going to just say African American women, just women in general. Just
Women.
women in general. Yeah. So I'm going to let you close us out, Melody.
Well, I thank y'all for joining us this week. And remember, first point is you cannot be something to somebody else that you are not to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So nurture yourself and give yourself what you're trying to give others. Then, two, we need to stop placing labels on people, giving people titles and labels um, to them, because then we're expecting them to live up to those titles and labels. And three, it's okay to say no.
Yeah.
It's okay to say no. Don't overextend yourself. Take care of yourself.
Yeah. Definitely. All right, you guys. This has been Talk Therapy, where we keep our conversations real, raw, and relevant. Until next Tuesday, make sure you share and like and share, and follow us on our business pages. Mine is Let's Talk Tara. Melody is Inspired by Mel. Follow us on Clubhouse, Coach Tara Talks, and Melody is Inspired
Male.
by Mel.
Mm-hmm.
And in IG, Let's Talk Tara. For IG, Melody is Inspired by Melody. So
Yes.
until I got it right. I got it right. All right, you guys. We love you. We'll see you next week.